able to hear me loud and clear. In case you're not able to hear me, just rejoin. You should be okay. Great. Able to hear me loud and clear. In case you're not able to hear me, just rejoin. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, guys. So the problem is I have switched on the volume for the YouTube stream, and that's why.
There we
Heard
go.
me once again. Right. So we all know why we're here. We're here to understand how you can pass the CSM exam in the weekend. Now, a lot of you already know that you can do this. We're just here to explain and help you understand how you can do this. Just an action plan for you guys, right? But I'm sure all of you are aware of this, that you can actually pass the CSM exam in a weekend. A quick yes, if you are already. Yeah. I mean, if you're aware that you can do this, or is this new information? Let us know. Just a quick yes. Okay. You can do it, definitely. But did you know this already? Because, okay, new information. Let us see. We're also live on YouTube now. So people on YouTube, just leave us your messages as well. Hi, Sujata. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. So some of you know, some of you don't. So for people who are beginners, who are still learning about what CSM is, how you can get certified, this webinar is for you. You can understand how you can actually pass, take the training and also pass the exam in a weekend, right? So that's the agenda for today. And we'll also help you understand how the CSM certification course is going to help you here. And we're going to help you understand the enrollment steps as well, including the cohort dates, which weekend you can choose to prepare, and all of that. We'd also collect your interest towards the end, okay? So in case you have questions, you know what to do. Please use the Q&A box. A lot of you are sending us messages in the chat box, so we might miss your question. So if you do have a question for Bryan, make sure you use the Q&A box. Bryan makes sure that every question is answered. So he's either typing them or, conveying whatever his answer is during the live session. So make sure you do interact with him and use the Q&A box, but make sure your questions are relevant to what we're discussing today. Okay, right? Also, another question for you guys. Are you here for the first time? Are you hearing about Simplilearn for the first time? Are you here? Simplilearn webinar for a first time. Shweta, first time? Okay. People on YouTube also use the live chat for questions. Himanshu, also first time. Okay, the others, you can make it quick. Yeah. Okay. Sujata, first time. All right. So just a quick introduction about Simplilearn you've come across. Okay, great, great. So I'm sure you've heard of Simplilearn, just about what we do, right? So we've touched more than 8 million careers through our courses, and we offer courses in various domains, Gen AI, machine learning, data science, Agile and Scrum. So we offer certifications, long-term PG courses, master's program, and all of these in partnership with leading organizations, right? So this particular course that I was talking about, the CSM certification, we've launched that in partnership with Scrum Alliance, right? So you'll know more about it towards the end, and that's just a little bit about Simplilearn. So in case you want to check out other certifications in project management or Agile or Scrum, do head to simplilearn.com. I will help you with the links and all of that towards the end, but let's say you want to explore it now, you can do that on simplilearn.com, right? Okay, so with that, let's just quickly get started and also introduce Bryan to you. So Bryan is, I've done this introduction so many times, just that. Anyway, so Bryan has 25 years, more than 25 years of experience in Agile program and project management. And he's been an Agile coach for a long time now, and he's trained a lot of aspiring Scrum Masters like you guys, right? So he also provides membership, mentorship and coaching to organizations, and also as a consultant to a lot of leading organizations as well. He's also a contributor to the PMBOK 7th edition. I'm sure all of you have heard of what PMBOK is, PM Book of Knowledge, Body of Knowledge. So yeah, thanks, Bryan, again, for taking the time out. I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll get started.
Sure. I'm not sure there's much more for me to add, but yep, we've done this many times before, so excited to be here. I think this is going to be a great topic. As you mentioned, really encourage people pop some questions in the Q&A. This is your opportunity to get answers to those questions you need to get answers. And yeah, let's get into it. What do you think?
Yes, let's get started right away. And for people asking about the recording, you will receive that tomorrow, in the next 24 hours. With a webinar certificate. Okay, so do not worry if you miss anything, but we're also streaming on YouTube, guys. So in case you miss something, you can actually head to YouTube right after this session. Okay, right? So let's get started now. And I'm sure all of you are eager to understand how you can actually pass the CSM certification exam in a weekend. Right? Let's get started and understand what the CSM certification is all about, right?
Yeah, let's dig into that. So I guess the first thing is let's take that acronym and give it a little bit more detail. So CSM stands for Certified Scrum Master. And might not surprise you to hear that it is all about a set of practices called Scrum. And this particular credential, this certification, is the one, as you mentioned, offered by the Scrum Alliance. So there are different flavors of certifications for Scrum Masters that are available in the market. This is by far and away probably the most recognized and probably has the largest number of people with this particular certification. So it's a very good one to start with, certainly, and there are many others that you can complement after you kind of get this foundation. So it's really designed for people that are working with Scrum. Now, it doesn't mean you can't take a lot of these really good ideas and apply them in settings that aren't using Scrum, but it's intended to make you a Scrum Master, so Scrum is going to be an important part of what we're going to be learning and taking the exam around. Now, if you're not super familiar with, Scrum and that term, one of the things just to get comfortable with is that there's this whole approach to delivering value, doing work together called Agile. And Agile itself is just a framework. And a lot of the ideas and concepts in Agile are probably going to seem pretty familiar because a lot of them are just, frankly, kind of common sense, good practices. So
Yeah.
what are some ideas that emphasizes things like working together? So we deliver value by people working together, collaborating and interacting. So Scrum and Agile place a very heavy emphasis on how do we get teams working together so they can deliver these high quality products. And to help with that, there is a process you can follow, which is the Scrum process. And it does a few things. It helps, us to stay focused because oftentimes it's easy to get distracted with lots of requests and different priorities. It's about staying focused, being really productive, finding ways in which we can streamline how we work together,
Yeah.
and then aligned with these agile principles that we'll dig into a little bit later.
Yep, yep, absolutely. So I think with this, all of you might already know this definition, or you're probably already working as in a similar setting, probably. But let's understand how you can actually prepare during a weekend, right? So how can one do it? And because a lot of people here did not know earlier that they can actually do this in a weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like all things, it's going to take a little bit of a plan. We're going to have to be kind of intentional and say, yes, this is the weekend I'm going to do it. But to your point, Aparna, it's very accomplishable.
Yeah.
One of the things that make this certification, I think, kind of appealing is it's very accessible. You mentioned earlier, I teach a lot of PMI courses and the PMP certification for project managers. That's very in-depth. That exam is 4 hours in duration. It often takes weeks, maybe even longer to fully prepare for that very demanding exam. This one, however, much lighter weight. It's only an hour in duration. It's a very accessible exam. It's focused on this one topic. So definitely you can do this within that weekend, but we need to think a little bit about how we're going to do that. So let's take a look.
Yes, yes, yes. what's the plan for the couple of days? Let's maybe take them through that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we kind of laid out here's some sort of blocks of time you can allocate. We didn't include things like, when to get your coffee and go out for lunch, things like that. So you'll have to put that in yourself. But so one of the first things you really want to give some thought to is really getting a good understanding of what Agile represents. And you'll notice there is a link there to what's called the Agile Manifesto. So
Yeah,
all Agile practices are based on the Agile Manifesto. So that is 4 values and 12 principles. So you really want to start there. The good news is the website is publicly accessible. Anyone can go to it. It's pretty easy to absorb. I mean, it's written in a very direct way. So there's a lot of deep verbiage to kind of wade through. So we're going to start with that, and that's going to give us sort of that foundation so we can better understand what Scrum has to offer. So
yeah.
once you get that done, yeah, go
Sorry to
ahead. Yeah.
interrupt. Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt, Brian.
yeah.
Someone wanted the link and also someone wanted me to reshare. I mean, it's working fine, but I'm still going to do that.
Oh, okay.
And also the link to Agile, the website of Agile Manifesto was shared on the chat.
Yeah.
So you guys can take a look. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at it while we're talking. If you got a few questions, you can pop them in the Q&A.
Mm,
So yeah. All right. So yep, thanks for hopefully that fixed some of the issues people might have been having seeing the screen. But it looks great from my vantage point.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the other link we probably want to share with people is this next one, the Scrum Guide. So the good news is the Scrum Guide is very accessible, as I mentioned earlier before. The PMBOK that you heard a part of mentioned earlier, that's about 1,000 pages long. It's a pretty long and in-depth read. The Scrum Guide is just 13 pages long. So you should be able to kind of knock that out pretty quickly. And that's going to give you a really good understanding of the overall Scrum process. So we're going to start the Scrum Guide, read through that end to end, and then pull back a little bit and really focus on Scrum theory. And this really talks about like, why are we doing Scrum? What are some of the key elements of Scrum that make it so effective? And we're going to learn about transparency, inspection, and I'm sorry, I think you moved your mouse a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Sorry.
and yeah, and yeah, it's a little hard to read the screen, but those are the adaptation area. Thank you. Yeah, so those are the three primary elements of Scrum, and that's just really going to give you some familiarity with why we have these ceremonies that we're going to dig into in the afternoon.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
The second day.
But we might want to go back real quick to the next afternoon one,
Yeah,
just to
sorry.
kind of cover a few of those topics there. So this is now, we've got sort of the context. Now we're going to dig into these Scrum ceremonies. And think of that word ceremony as kind of a fancy word for meeting. Sometimes you hear them described as events. But we've got this idea of a cycle, a sprint cycle. All that is a time box period that we are going to deliver value. This is when the team is going to work together to create something that's going to satisfy its customers. And we do this in this short, consistent, repeatable sprint. Now, sprints themselves can range. They can be anywhere from a week to 4 weeks. Okay, you're going to understand how to pick the right cycle for the work that the team is performing. And then you're going to spend some time learning about these 4 key Scrum events. So much of the exam is going to be based on questions around these 4 events: planning, stand-ups, reviews, and retrospectives. And each one of them have an intent and often have some definitive structure. So when I say that, for example, daily stand-ups are 15 minutes in duration. So that's sort of a prescription. It's sort of, you're told this is what a good daily stand-up looks like. There's a high likelihood the exam is going to test those elements and ask you, yeah, how long should a daily stand-up should be? How long should a planning event be? How long should your review and retro be? Okay, so these are sort of the guidelines that Scrum emphasizes. And the reason they use those guidelines because they've Jeff Sutherland, one of the authors of the Scrum Guide, is very empirical. He does a lot of research and analysis. He's kind of a data-centric person. So he has defined the durations of these events based on his research and analysis. So there's a reason they want you to ensure that your events support those attributes. And once we understand that, then we can now think about how do we facilitate these ceremonies? Because remember, your role as a Scrum Master is actually to make sure these 4 ceremonies work well and make sure that the team is getting what they need from those 4 ceremonies.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So let's talk about what they do on day 2.
Yeah, so now that we've kind of gone through our Agile Manifesto and we're digging into the Scrum Guide, we've learned about the ceremonies, and next we're going to focus on what are called the Scrum artifacts. Now, artifact, kind of another fancy word for just a document, something that we're going to produce, something we're going to reference. So in Scrum, all work is going to be stored and tracked in what's called a product backlog. And think of the product backlog as sort of a bit of a to-do list. Here's all the things we need to get done, and we're going to put them in what's called a stack ranked order. We're going to put the most important ones at the top and the least important ones at the bottom. And the whole idea is when we're ready to do some work, when we've got time, we've got the capacity and skills, we take the first thing at the top of that backlog because it's the most important thing. Now, the backlog is all the work that needs to get done. But in a sprint, and one of those short time box periods that the team is going to deliver something of value, we're going to pull some of the product backlog items and put it into our sprint backlog. So sprint backlog is just sort of a smaller subset of the most important things in the product backlog. And then we're going to deliver that in an increment. And the increment is basically the sprint, right? The sprint is sort of this increment of time that we're going to deliver value and work. Once we finish that, we're going to iteratively build on it. And that's an important concept when it comes to Agile because it really focuses on building things in increments, and each increment is iteratively improved in the next increment. So once we understand that, another question that emerges is how do we refine the product backlog? Because it's essentially a living, breathing artifact because things change all the time, right? If you live in the US, you probably or India, I'm certain you've been following the exciting news about tariffs, right? I mean, it just suddenly occurred. So as a consequence, your product backlog might change. You might say, gee whiz, all the things we thought we could do this year, maybe we can't. Maybe we need to make some adjustments because we've got this late breaking news. So that's something that occurs all the time. And as I mentioned, we want the product backlog to have the most important things at the top. So that might mean we're going to be shifting and adjusting things continuously. And we're going to learn a little bit more about some of the important roles involved in doing that. But one of the roles, and there's only 3, which makes Scrum kind of appealing, is the product owner. So the product owner, well, their job is to look after the product backlog. So we're going to see how that product owner ensures that the backlog is kept current and reflects our priorities. And then as a Scrum Master, your job is sort of help the team get the most from these processes and practices. So you're going to learn how to make sure that these artifacts are going to help the team both stay organized, so they know what things they need to get done, and how those items are going to deliver the value your customers need.
Right.
So now, once you've done that, some things you can give some thought to, you can do some role-playing activities, simulate real-life Scrum ceremonies. So, for example, you might try out, like, I wonder what a 15-minute daily stand-up would look like. Well, you can kind of practice it there, right? You can kind of stand up. You can, if you've got some colleagues, friends who are also going through the exam prep process, certainly involve them. But hey, you could get your wife, your kids, your husband, whoever it might be, say, hey, let's try this out. You stand up. It's often called a standing meeting, a daily stand up, and you just do a quick round table on who's doing what are you planning to get done today, and you keep it within that 15-minute time box. So often you'll find those role-playing activities really help you sort of cement some of these concepts. And then the second thing we want to do is we want to practice a little bit, right? Anytime we're going to, step out on the sport field, what have we been doing before that? Well, practicing, lots and lots of practice. So practice pays some pretty big dividends here. So go back, review the key Scrum concepts, what I might encourage you to do, and everyone's got slightly different approaches to this, but maybe create some flashcards for what you're
Yeah,
reading. And then take some practice exams. Get yourself familiar with the exam format. The good news is this is a multiple choice exam. You're going to have one question, four answers. You just have to pick the right answer of those four. So you're not writing long essays or doing anything more complex than just picking what the right answer is. And then just make sure you check in with some last minute tips to help you feel confident. Things like, hey, maybe remove distractions from the room that you're going to take the exam in, which includes, by the way, putting your cell phone away and put it in silent so it's not going to distract you if you see it vibrating or buzzing. And then also just sort of clear your mind, get comfortable, get good night's rest before, you take the exam so you feel confident that you're going to be able to perform to the best of your ability.
absolutely. This looks like a great weekend plan. So in case someone wants to take screenshots, I mean, in case you're not already following a similar plan, you can. I mean, you can take a screenshot probably. I just wait for a few seconds. Then this is the first day, and once you're done, I'm just going to switch slides now. Just
Okay.
in a couple of seconds. Here you go. So this is the second day in case someone wants to follow this plan. It's a great way to have some clarity on how you should go about it, right?
Yes,
Great.
yes. Now, one thing I would like quickly share too. Now, notice it says take some practice exams. Now, a couple of things we're going to learn about is this is one of the areas Simplilearn has really, I think, demonstrated the value they provide to those 8 million people that have been able to further their career with the Simplilearn courses. Is they do a great job of creating practice exams that are very similar to what you can expect to see in the real exam. They're often
Yes.
written by people like me that often also write the exams for Agile Alliance, Scrum Alliance, and PMI. So those practice exams become really, really very valuable. So look for ways in which you can take some of those full-length practice exams, do them in the duration. So this is 1 hour. It's a 1 hour test. So just sit for that hour, finish all the questions, and then check how you performed, and then use that to guide you if you need to kind of do some refreshers or spend some more time on a particular topic.
Yep. And I've also shared the link to the practice test on the
Wonderful.
chat box in case anyone wants to attempt it. You can do this after the webinar later whenever you get the time, but that's the link. You can bookmark the link and save it for later, right? So Bryan, let's talk about the exam now. I'm sure at least the beginners would want to know what the CSM exam is all about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So it is, as I mentioned earlier, a 60-minute exam. There are 35 multiple choice questions that you'll have to answer. So, some rough math would tell us you're getting about 2 minutes a question. Um, and generally speaking, having guided many, many people through this, most people are going to feel quite comfortable answering all the questions in that 60 minutes. It is written as a global exam, and really what that means is that the Scrum Alliance, like many larger global organizations, are aware that not everyone is going to be as versant in English. The questions are all written in English, so they give you extra time to kind of properly read them, process what they're saying. So I don't think anyone is going to find difficulty completing the questions in the 60 minutes. Now, all the questions are going to be based on that Scrum guide that we looked at. So very important that you go through that, read it end to end. It's only 13 pages. It's not the longest read. And that's going to prepare you for taking this exam.
The passing score.
Yeah, so this exam is a little unusual. Sometimes, organizations like the PMI and the Skilled Agile Framework always share with you what the number of questions you need to get right. But in this case, they do. You need 24 out
Mm.
of 35, about 68%. I think again, most of us, if you remember our school days, you'd probably say, "Hey, that's pretty achievable. That's like a C, I think." So I don't think the bar is out of reach. And again, this is designed for people that are just learning about some of these concepts, these ideas. So the expectation isn't that you become an expert just through the course, but that you've got a solid grasp of the intent and the purpose of a lot of these ideas.
Right. And yeah, I think you already mentioned the content of, I mean, what they should prepare. So if you can also take them through the exam content.
Yeah, of course. So a couple things. Again, what makes Scrum very popular is it's 13 pages long, pretty easy to read. Organizations like that too, right? Because there's not a lot of big investment in training people and sending them to days of training and maybe tooling, etc. In fact, Scrum emphasizes that you don't need tools, you just need people. So you're going to need to know those three roles. And of course, the first one should be pretty obvious, the Scrum Master. Well, you're getting a Certified Scrum Master certification, so it shouldn't surprise you that there is a Scrum Master role. We have the Product Owner, and that was a role that looks after the product backlog. And then we've got the team. This is a group of people that are going to do the work. This should be a cross-functional small team. Team size should be anywhere from 7 plus or minus 2, so between 5 to 9 people. And that's who's going to do the work. Then we have those 4 events that I mentioned before, planning that daily scrum or daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint retrospective. And then the artifacts, the product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment, which is the sprint itself. And that's it. Pretty accessible. Not a lot of deep memorization, unlike the PMI or the Scaled Agile framework or some of those other more complex certifications. And
Yeah.
then your job as a Scrum Master is to figure out like how do you help the team be as effective as they can be. Okay, your job is kind of make the team great. So part of that is facilitating the Scrum ceremonies, removing obstacles that are preventing the team from getting work done, and just helping the team sort of find ways to improve and get better.
Right. Right. The exam is it really open book? I mean, is it true that you can actually refer the Scrum guide while you take notes, while you also do your exam?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is an open book. I guess you're
Mhm.
probably aware if you're doing it remotely, it's probably hard to control. In fact,
Mhm.
there was
Mhm.
a time where you had to go to a testing center and they'd lock you in a room and you'd have
Mhm.
to leave everything in a locker before you went in. But this is open book. And again, the purpose of this isn't really sort of to test your deep knowledge. It's really just to validate that you've got a good understanding of the intent and the Scrum guide is going to be something you're going to reference frequently as a Scrum Master. So part of the intent here is to get you comfortable with that and you can use that. So but yes, once you take this training, you will get the link to take the exam online.
Wow.
You get to decide when you take it, and then
Mhm.
once that's done, you get your immediate feedback.
Right. So someone had this question about taking the CSM training. So you're mentioning here that once someone completes the training, they receive a link. But if someone already has agile knowledge, uh, can this exam be taken without the training as well?
Oh, if they want to take it without taking training?
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. You have to check. I believe the CSM,
Mhm.
much like the PMI, does require the training.
I
Uh,
see. So will that be available on the Scrum Alliance website? I mean, the requirements of being able to take the exam, will that be
yeah,
available?
Yeah, I'm very confident this one, and there are a lot of varieties of it. The CSM, part of the reason I think it's seen as such a well-recognized certification is it does require you to take the training. So you are going to have to take the 2-day, 16-hour CSM course from an approved provider. So it can't just be your
Right.
Uncle Charlie who says, "Hey, I can teach you this." So you're gonna have to go through a approved provider, and Simply Learn, of course, is one of them. You'll take that exam or training, and then you'll get the link to the exam. Now, there are other certifications you can get that do not require training. They're just
Mm-hmm.
not as well recognized.
Understood. Understood. So I am able to actually, I'm on the Scrum Alliance website, and the only thing that it redirects me to is actually a Scrum. Certified Scrum Master course. So
Yeah.
actually, yes, you're right, Brian. I think it does require training. So Vandy, if that's your name, or Mohit had that question. So yes, you should
Okay.
be taking training, and that's how Simplilearn helps. Now, we talked about Scrum Master. Sujata will come to your question in a bit, but let's just understand what happens after you take the exam.
Yeah. So good news, you've taken the exam and you've passed it. Hooray. Then you'll get your certified Scrum Master certificate. You can proudly display it on your wall. You can update your LinkedIn profile and all those good things. But then you'll also be part of the Scrum Alliance community. There's a lot of other professionals working in this space who share experiences and tips and tricks and techniques and ask questions. So this is a great opportunity to kind of get uh, connected with those individuals and broaden your network and create other opportunities for yourself.
Understood. Understood. So we'll talk about opportunity. I think a lot of questions will come on how I can position myself, how I can find an opportunity. We'll come to that in a while. We've not seen those questions yet. But can someone take a training, say a year back? I mean, if they've taken the training a year back, is it still valid? Does it matter that they've not written the exam yet? Are they eligible still?
Right, and that's a great question. I would imagine that if you take it within a year, you're probably still in a position to take the training. My guidance would be go to the Scrum Alliance site, check. They probably will tell you how long your training is good for. And if you can't find it easily, reach out to them, send them a quick email, or if you got a chat bot, maybe you can ask that.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, generally thinking you're probably going to be okay within a year, but I think if you said, hey, I took this 5 years ago, you might have to retake the training.
Yeah, yeah. I think that answers your question. Uh, Amin, if that's your name. Sujata, yeah, I think you're already answering that question, Brian. Also, CSM, does it have a validity? Yes, it does have, 2-year validity. Is that right, Brian?
Yes, that's right. So, like a
Mm.
lot of these types of certifications,
Mm.
you're going to need to maintain it,
Mm.
and the duration for this is 2 years.
Mhm.
And you're going to have to renew it in that time period. Now, the good news is you
Mhm.
don't need to retake the exam,
Mm.
but you will need to demonstrate that you've been kind of investing in yourself. And the
Mhm.
way the Scrum Alliance looks at that is they ask you to demonstrate that you have achieved a certain number, 20
Mm.
Scrum Education Units or SEUs.
Yes, yes, yes. Mm.
SEUs, yeah. And by the way, you can get SEUs by attending events just like this one, webinars that Simplilearn's offering.
Mm.
But you can
Mm.
also do it by reading a book, volunteering,
Mm.
any number of ways which you can achieve these 20 SEUs within that 2-year period.
Mm.
Once you've got those, you apply for your renewal. There is a $100 renewal fee. Now that could change. I don't know if it's going to perhaps go up, but check their website. It'll tell you exactly that. And that's how you manage
Yeah,
your
yeah.
certification.
So, Raman, I think these are SEUs, PDUs. I'm assuming they're for renewing your PMP
Right.
certification. Here, you would need the SEUs, right? So I'm
That's
not
right.
sure if you can submit PDUs. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. I mean, can you
Yeah, no,
submit
you're
PDUs as
You
well?
sure can. Yeah. Good news is, like, if you take this course right now, this webinar, you can get a SEU and a PDU. You can get them
Wow.
both, but you'd submit them to the different organizations. The PMI would get the PDU, and the
Mm.
Scrum Alliance would get the SEU.
Right. Got it. So someone has another question, they're just a little skeptical. So what if they fail the exam? Do they have to retake? I mean, obviously, will they have to retake the entire exam again, go through the training? What should they do?
Okay, so if someone isn't successful in the exam, they fail it. Oh, yeah,
Yeah. That's their question. I mean, they just worried
okay.
they might not
That
achieve 68%.
Yes, okay. Yeah, it's going to happen. First off, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's okay. It's your first time taking this exam. But the second thing is, no, you don't have to take the training again. You just retake the exam.
Mm.
Uh, Again, the Scrum Alliance website is probably going to give you a little bit more details here. My understanding, at least was in the past, is if you failed the exam, if you wanted to, you could take it right away. Take it, within the next hour, because you might have just missed it by a question or two. So, but what I would suggest is just, pause, collect yourself, maybe review the Scrum Guide again, and then the next time, I'm pretty confident you'll pass the exam.
Yes. So Ritu had this question. So I also have this question now. Can we actually review our mistakes? I mean, is that allowed, or that might help, right? So is that allowed?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so they're not going to give you that feedback with the formal exam.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to say you got, 33 out of the 50 and you weren't successful. But again,
Mm-hmm.
this is where I think Simplilearn offers tremendous value is Simplilearn practice exams do tell you that. They say, here's the questions you got right, here's the ones you got wrong, and even tell you where to go to the Scrum Guide to learn more about the questions that you weren't successful with. So those practice exams become really helpful just to kind of feel confident about what areas maybe needed some additional attention, which areas do you have a good grasp of.
Right. Got it. Got it. Brian, a couple of learners who remember you, Shoaib says, "Welcome, sir, once again. It's nice to see
Oh,
you." And
wonderful.
someone has a compliment for your style of presentation. Definitely, Johnson, you should definitely attend more of Brian's webinars.
Ah,
Your presentation is excellent, very easy to follow. Love your energy. I'm going to seek out other webinars. More than happy to see you, Johnson, in more of these webinars. Just keep following us, following
Wow.
our emails. You should be
Yeah.
receiving alerts. How many times, Ritu? I think you're fine. I don't think you will need more than a second attempt to pass the CSM exam. So I think you're just being a little nervous, afraid to
A
take the
little
first step.
anxious. I believe the limit is three within a certain period. I think you can do it three
Um,
in a month. And after
mm,
that, they say, hey, take a little break, go back and review. But the Scrum Alliance site will give you all that detail. And you're exactly right, Aparna. I would be very surprised if anyone wasn't successful at their second attempt. I mean, provided you put some work in.
yeah, I mean, what I'll do is probably give you the articles link. So you might find this on the Scrum Alliance website as well. Just going to share that on the chat. And yeah, let's just proceed with the session now. Let's understand, let's just summarize what you should be doing for success for people like Ritu who are still nervous about what do I do if I, fail an attempt.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, much of what we've already said sort of holds true.
Hmm.
Start with the Scrum Guide, pretty accessible. It's out there publicly available, so nothing preventing you getting started on that right away. Take the
Yeah.
training, that's mandatory. And generally speaking, I don't think you'll find the concepts are going to be, really challenging to kind of get your arms around. So most people really get a lot from just working on some practice sessions and meeting others like it. So lots of people take the CSM, find it very invigorating and have just a really generally a positive experience from it. Once you finish training, of course, take those practice exams. Okay,
Mhm.
particularly ones that tell you, which questions you got right, which ones you didn't get wrong, and give you some guidance when you did get something wrong and what to do next. Get comfortable with those key concepts, some of which we talked about, the three roles, the four ceremonies, the three artifacts. And then, just clear your mind, get relaxed, drink some chamomile tea or whatever it is that you need to kind of get yourself the right mindset. And then just manage your time. So just be aware you got about 2 minutes a question. So if you're spending too much time on a question, just move on to the next one. You just need that
Mhm.
68% to pass.
Yes, 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 yes. So does that mean, I mean, if someone has to skip a question, is that going to be penalized, or how does that work?
Well,
I mean, say someone
yeah, you can definitely skip a question as you're going through them, but you shouldn't submit the exam until you've answered every question.
every question.
There's no penalty for
Mhm.
answering it correctly. So,
Mhm.
even if you're not completely confident on one of two answers, just pick one, submit it, make sure you've answered every question.
Got it. Understood. Understood. So yeah, I think that summarizes your weekend plan to pass the CSM exam. So let us know on the chat. Just a very quick question. Thank you, everyone, for the on behalf of Bryan, thank you for those compliments that you're
Yeah,
giving.
yes.
You're
Thank
cool.
you.
I
Look at
definitely. I am just surprised these compliments are coming now. A lot of you learners would have seen Bryan earlier. I mean, you should have done this much
that.
earlier.
Like that positive feedback.
Yes, great. I mean, great engagement. You guys are really keen to pass the CSM exam. That's just the sincerity that you guys show. So let us know on the chat. I mean, how confident are you now to take the CSM exam? Prepare it in the upcoming weekend. I mean, in this weekend. How confident are you? 8, Vandana, 8, nice. 10, very good. Nuri, that's the spirit. 6, Francis, okay. Shweta says 10. Also, people on YouTube, let us know how much would you rate your confidence levels. Ini, I'll come to the fees for the CSM training in a while. It varies from region to region. We'll come to that. Sunmati, okay. 10, oh, someone says 100. Shoaib says 1,000. Oh, sorry, not even 100. Okay. Yes, we'll come to questions. Please put them on the Q&A box right now. I just want to know your confidence levels. You're already enrolled for the PMP, so after it, you're confident the CSM is going to. Thank you. Great, great, great. Glad to know that you're all confident now. So what would you need to prepare, right? Also, let us know on the poll. I'm going to be launching this on Zoom. If you're watching us on YouTube, please select whichever option is, you feel resonates with you the most. Just let us know your answer on the chat. What would you need? Would you need a curriculum, a comprehensive one? Would you need just some practical understanding of how a Scrum Master really works, day-to-day interactive sessions, or you got a study schedule already though. So I think that box is ticked for a lot of you today. You did get a study schedule. By the way, someone had this thing of, I'll just go back to that slide. Someone wanted to revisit the day 1 plan and the day 2 plan. So I'm just going to keep these slides open in case someone wants to take a screenshot. The session is being recorded. It's being streamed on YouTube. So you guys can revisit the live stream as well. This is the day 1 plan, and then this is the day 2 plan. Yeah? Yes. Yes. Okay, great. All right. So this is exactly all of these concerns that you've mentioned on the poll is exactly what is fulfilled. I mean, when you take up the CSM certification training, all of these concerns are fulfilled. You get live interactive sessions. You are able to cover everything that you need for passing CSM and also excelling in your CSM exam. I mean, it doesn't interfere with your work because you can do it over a weekend. Our cohorts, a lot of cohorts happen on the weekends actually, and you do get a practical understanding as well because all of our trainers are certified Scrum trainers, right? So Bryan, if you could just take them through the entire curriculum. I know there's a lot of modules that that are covered, so we couldn't concise that, bring it into one slide, but if you can just brief them what we covered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think this kind of echoes the 2-day study plan. But first, Agile Introduction Manifesto, get comfortable with those 4 values, the 12 principles, then dig into what Scrum is, the pillars of Scrum, right? Transparency and adaptation and inspection, the values that support Scrum, and then look at the roles, things like the Scrum team, the Scrum Master, the product owner, the development team itself, the product backlog and the sprint backlog, and of course the sprint. And you'll spend a bit more time going into the Scrum events. Let's talk a bit about what a good planning session looks like, good stand up, things like that. And then some additional topics. And oftentimes those are areas that, like how do you scale Agile? What do you do when you've got more than just a team? You've got many teams working together. Now, the course isn't going to spend a great deal of time on those additional topics, but it will spend a little bit of time and also give you some guidance on what might be your next step if you wanted to take your Agile career a little further.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Along with that, these are sessions that you will receive live from CSTs, and then you have a self-paced curriculum plus free courses on Agile and Scrum, plus also lean management and a little bit of digital marketing and a lot of more other courses just for you to understand the different domains that Scrum can be applied to, right? So that's how the curriculum looks like. And how does this program really stand out? How is this different from training that you receive elsewhere? Firstly, our training is led by certified Scrum instructors, and also you get access to not just materials that are limited to the Scrum exam, but a lot more to help you prepare for the exam effectively. And of course, anything that you want to ask the instructor, you can do that live through Q&A, hands-on exercises that happen during the live classes. And also, there is a learner success manager that is available throughout the session, for you to, like, if you have concerns, you can point that out, and then, the learner success manager is going to help you there, right? And after this, you also get job assistance, as in how or what roles you can take up, just some mentorship after completing the program, right? So this is how we offer end-to-end support, not just helping you prepare for the CSM exam. So what you get is, of course, a Scrum Alliance certificate with a 2-year membership. You get hands-on learning, exactly what Bryan mentioned. So the role plays, simulations, all of that helps you prepare for the exam better. And you don't have to pay for the exam fee separately. So when you pay for the training, you pay for the exam as well, and then you get one free retake. So along with this training, you get 16 SEUs and 20 PDUs. Of course, also mock test papers, right? So I'm going to share the link to the course page as well for you guys to take a look. So you get Scrum expertise, you are prepared better for the CSM exam, and you're also ready to understand how you can grow in your career with this certification, right? So that's what the course offers, and this is how the program completion certificate from Scrum Alliance looks like. So remember that we've partnered with, Scrum Alliance offers CSM certification. So this is exactly how the certificate looks like. And of course, this opens you up for a lot of roles. So Bryan, this question that some learners had, maybe you could answer that live as well. So what can one do? How does one go about looking for opportunities as Scrum Masters after they've passed the CSM certification?
Yeah, great question. Yep, you've earned your Scrum Master certification. You're eager to become a Scrum Master. A couple ways, of course, you could find other opportunities. One is simple searching on places like Indeed and LinkedIn and others. Just that keyword of Scrum Master, you'll discover a lot of roles that are available. The second is start within your organization and maybe even work with your own management, your leadership, and say, hey, I think I could really help these teams become even better if I've done this role with Scrum Master. So oftentimes you can kind of create the role, and many organizations are quite receptive to this. So I'd encourage you to just have that conversation and say, hey, I've got the certification. I want to start using it and help the company.
Yes. So how does one grow? I saw that question as well. And we did a webinar a long time back on
Right.
this, but yeah, how does one grow after becoming a Scrum Master?
Yeah, so once you've got your Scrum Master, certification, and you've applied these skills for a while, you're logically going to be interested in saying, "Hey, what's my next step?" So there's a couple paths. One is, as I mentioned before, when we think of Agile is sort of centered on the team, but many organizations have lots of teams. So often the next level up is someone working in the role of a Scrum Master of Scrum Masters, and there's a framework called the Scaled Agile framework. It
Yeah.
has a role called a release train engineer. So many Scrum Masters sort of make that move up to a release train engineer.
Mhm.
There are other paths too. You might decide, actually, I'm really interested in being a product owner. I learned a lot as a Scrum Master, I work closely with a product owner. I'd like to step into that role a little more actively. And then often too, you discover that there might be paths as you gain more experience and exposure to Agile and applying it to become an Agile coach. So you might work with many teams, helping those teams develop their skills and apply these techniques.
Yes, so I hope that answers a lot of questions around what you can do next, right? So of course, this opens you up to a lot of roles. Scrum Master is the first step there. And yes, a lot of questions on how much the course would cost us. So before that, just some success stories on how these people took up the certification and develop skills, take up new roles sometimes, or just could perform better in their current roles, right? So all of this is available on the course page. Let me just share the link to the course page here on the chat. Okay, I'm just going to do that. And yes, I am going to talk about the upcoming cohorts, what you can do next. So the next cohort begins, 12th April, like I said, the upcoming weekend, right? So you can take or be a part of a cohort as early as 12th of April. But let's say you are, you want to understand what other cohorts can I be a part of? 12th, let me just show you. So like I said, if you head to the course page, you will be able to find the list of cohorts that are available. Okay. And someone was asking about the fees. So this is fees in INR. This is around 20,000 INR. But let's say you are in the US. If you just open the course page, you will be able to find, or let me just do that. I'll just have to change the region here. It's going to take me a couple of minutes. I'll just head back to the slide. It's just easier. Show the course fee. Yeah, so it's around $350. It might be less or more depending on who your trainer is as well. So make sure when you enroll, ask the learning advisor as to what the course fee is, and you can also avail these financing options. So let's say you want to be a part of any of these upcoming cohorts, you can select a yes on the poll that I've just launched, right? So you will be ask this question, would you like to enroll in this program? Which means you want to be a part of an upcoming cohort. So click on a yes. And if you live in the US, you might expect a call the next few hours. But let's say you are part of India, rest of the world should be receiving a call tomorrow, right? And another thing that you have the benefit of is, let's say you don't have, you're not able to choose between these cohorts. The learning advisor is the best person to help you understand how you can enroll and also maybe reschedule a cohort. So maybe ask the learning advisor if you have that facility as well, right? And if you enroll, say, by the 17th of April, you also get this extra 5% off over and above the 39% off here. By the way, this offer price is for Indian learners because I live in India. I'm able to see or show you the course page which has fees in INR, right? So you might see a totally different pricing if you live elsewhere. So which is why I said, ask the learning advisor after you've selected a yes, when you receive a call, ask them the current discount and, how much can you avail, who your trainer is, all of that. Yeah. Okay. So some of these cohorts are filling up fast because remember, a lot of learners like you want to finish this in a weekend. So, they're always in a hurry to enroll. So we don't take many students in a cohort, which is why you see that message. So make sure you use this opportunity, right? Okay, so I'm just going to keep that poll live for a while, and let's look at some more questions. Yeah, I also saw a question about the difference between product owner, a project manager, but I think you already answered that. And let's look at the last one by Ritu again. Scrum Master is the best person who understands how Scrum works in handling software development. Okay, software product development project. So what if someone does not have that foundation? What if someone is switching from a non-tech role to becoming a
Right.
Scrum Master?
Yeah, and that's maybe a little bit of a legacy of where Scrum started. It's certainly, well, Agile in particular,
Mhm.
Scrum a little less so, but Agile really focused on software development. And in fact, if you look at the Agile manifesto, you're going to see that term quite a bit around software development. It seems to really emphasize that. However, the thinking has shifted a great deal since then. In fact, Scrum in particular is quite agnostic. It doesn't really think about whether you're working in technology or software development or just more conventional product development. So you could be in marketing or sales or HR,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what. So in fact, much of what, if you follow this very closely, the Harvard Business Review, which is sort of the reference magazine for many senior leaders, Scrum is frequently featured in the Harvard Business Review as a way to help an entire organization, every part of the organization,
Yes.
deliver value more effectively. So definitely not just software. It's much broader than that.
Yeah, I think I can vouch for this because at Simplilearn, I mean, it's not limited to the tech functions at Simplilearn. I mean, a lot of other, including, my own team, we also follow, Scrum methodologies. For some roles, not the entire team, but yeah, some roles do follow this approach.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I can vouch for that, Ripple. And most of us don't have a tech background, right?
Right.
Sujata, what is the timing for sessions on weekends? I have only 1 week day off. Okay. So again, Sujata, it depends on which trainer is taking the cohort, right? So these are the timings, 6:30 to 11:30 for this particular trainer, but you also have a morning cohort. So it depends on which cohort you are a part of, really. So I can't really say or put a pin on it. But yeah, most cohorts on the weekends are between 6:30 to 11:30. Yeah. Yeah. Right. But you can get this clarified though. Once you've seen these schedules and you're sure, okay, what your class timings are, what your days that you're going to be taking this training are, you can ask the learning advisor about the timings, everything that you want to ask before you enroll. Okay. So enrolling is also really, really simple. I mean, in case you want to do it right now, is also possible. So all you have to do is actually just click on enroll now, submit your email IDs, your details, and then you're actually done. You can be a part of the cohort right away. The reason I'm launching this poll is a lot of you might have questions and you might want to interact with a learning advisor. But if you do want to do it right away, I mean, you want to get started, you can absolutely do that. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Great. 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 So I think with this, we're also done highlighting the enrollment steps. If you guys have more questions, please make sure you use the Q&A box. I'm just going to close down the poll in a while. The next couple of minutes, we'll wrap up the session next 5 to 7 minutes. So make sure you're giving us your answers. Yeah. I mean, on the poll, and let's say you have questions to ask. People on YouTube, also let us know if you have questions to ask us, right? Okay, great, great. So I'm just going to end the poll right here. And thank you so much to everyone who has expressed their interest to be a part of our cohorts. So like I said, once you enroll, you are getting started right away, and then you can finish your exam by the end of the training as well. Okay, so what you're going to do now is just let us know, maybe on the chat. I would love to see what are your takeaways today. So what did you understand? What did you learn? Just leave us messages on the chat. But if I launch a poll again, you guys are not going to respond. You're going to hesitate. Just leave us your inputs on the chat as well. So what did you learn? What you would like to learn next?
Yeah, that's always
Someone
interesting.
mentioned they want to see Bryan and learn from Bryan again.
Sure.
PMP, okay, we've done a lot of them, Shweta, on PMP. It's a fruitful session. Sujata, what you can do is I've given the link to the course page. I'm just going to do that right away. Okay. And Sorry, my screen share froze. Yes. Okay. Shoaib, you can connect with Bryan. Certainly,
Sure.
I'm not a subject matter expert in CSM. I only hosted this webinar with Bryan. So Bryan should be able to help you. But if you do want to be a part of the cohort, that's an even better option. Make sure you take the training, enroll, and become a Scrum Master, maybe, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Ritu, I'm not sure about this. I don't think Scrum Alliance endorses anyone to be a part of another company and helps in recruitment. I don't think that happens, right? From what I understand, Scrum Alliance is a non-profit organization, so they don't do that. Okay, it does look simpler now. Olu, yes. And it feels nothing like that. Okay. Next is to learn PMI. All the best to all of you are thinking about PMP, sorry.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes, amazing, amazing. Great. So let me know one more last poll for you guys. Let me know your names on the certificate poll. What we're going to do is to give out a similar certificate in the next 24 hours. So make sure you enter your name on the poll correctly, and you're not entering anything else on the blanks. Your email ID or anything else will we filter those responses out and then we send it out to people who've given their full names. Okay. So Vandana, if that's your name, we're actually doing a session on how CAPM is different from PMP. We're doing that in April. Yes.
Okay. Coming soon.
Coming soon. Yes. We're doing that in April. Then, a few interesting topics lined up for May as well. So yes, Bryan has shared his the link to his LinkedIn profile. You can connect with him as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Love to hear from her. Well, I'm going to have to probably wrap up for another session that I'm joining, but this has been fantastic. Parna, thank you so much. You're the hostess with the mostest. That was a lot of fun. Looking forward to our next one. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Yes. Thanks, Bryan, for your time as well. I'm just going to wrap up the session as well in the next few minutes. But it was great hosting you, listening to you as always. I'll see you once again. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. 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 Right. So Bryan's LinkedIn profile, I've added that on the chat in case you guys have missed. Okay, and make sure you enter your name on the poll, not anywhere else. Okay. You will be able to receive the pop-up if you are logging in via the Zoom app. Okay. Great. For another few minutes, and then I'm going to wrap up the session. It was great hosting you guys as well. And we're looking forward to having you guys in the cohort as well. So just like Bryan, we have other awesome trainers who are going to be with you, guiding you on how you can pass the CSM exam. And remember, you have the opportunity to take a free retake, right? And that's a part of the training. So in case you're still wondering if you should be a part of the cohort, you should definitely consider enrolling. And if you want to do that right away, like I said, all you need to do is to head to this page I've sent and click on enroll and choose the cohort that is, that seems the most convenient to you. Be a part of the cohort and you can start your training right away. Okay? So that's how you go about it. Shoaib, I mean, yes, definitely, but I recommend you to follow the Simplilearn page. That's where you can find more of our content and then, more of our webinar streams there. So yes, you can definitely follow us on follow the Simplilearn page. Yeah. Great. Great. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the session. It was great. Like I said, it was great. Kind of taking your questions, asking your questions. It was wonderful hosting you, and it was wonderful bringing this session to you through Bryan. I hope you got clarity on what you should do in a weekend. Yes, it does take 2 days, and we stood by what we said. So you can definitely pass your CSM exam. Remember everything that Bryan said, and in case you want to revisit the session, you will be receiving the certificate, the recording, everything else in the next 24 hours. Okay, so I'll see you guys in another session. Until then, you make sure you're learning continuously. You're also you're just learning, experimenting with new things, thinking about what you can do with your career next, right? So do drop us an email if you want to share anything share feedback on the webinar, anything that you want to ask. About webinars, please email us on webinars@simplilearn.net. If it's about the course, your enrollment, anything else, please email on this ID. Okay, someone will be able to respond. So I'll see you guys again. Bye-bye then. Have a great day. Bye.